Borderlands is not at a very good place at the moment, with Wonderlands and New Tales of the Borderlands pretty much being flops, and while their latest flagship title Borderlands 3 is in a very good spot at the moment, I can't help but hope that Borderlands 4 does something extremely different, because the fact that I'm returning to Borderlands 2 more than Borderlands 3 is definitely saying something. So I'm not going to just say, oh, just give us a better story and better writing. No, I'm going to give my own ideas which are fresh as hell, which is what Borderlands needs. It needs innovation, a fresh injection of new ideas, and yeah, let's get to it. So starting off, we need an interactive sanctuary. I feel that considering Borderlands is an RPG that opens up a lot of opportunities to create rooms, to test equipments, side activities and minigames and just so much more. And at the moment now, Sanctuary is just a place where I can use the firing range and to store my weapons. And even that is not done well, especially in Borderlands 3. Like when you shoot, you can't see if any status element is applied because it's not visually represented. You can literally only see numbers, which is a huge downgrade to Borderlands 2, whereby you can clearly see when you apply a fire or shock or corrosive, and it's just so much better there. And just in general, I want to do more things. Customizing Sanctuary should be way more in-depth considering that it is a hub area, and please don't keep the pathetic room decorations in Borderlands 3. An element of growth could also be introduced where you see Sanctuary slowly get more and more populated with interesting characters, more buildings or shops or little activities, maybe even mini events within Sanctuary to give more life. Again, it's an RPG, so they can literally fill every single NPC with unique dialogue and quest lines, and you can recruit them to Sanctuary and they will have a tangible impact, rather than just this dead town with like random people walking around. I really wish it was like Witcher 3 where you can listen to random conversations and little gossips here and there, which fits perfectly with Borderlands. Random stupid conversations actually increase the immersion for this game specifically, so Gearbox, take notes. Next up is more enemy mechanics and more ways to force players to engage with it. The main ones that I can think off the top of my head are the Goliath and Valkid evolutions, which did not feel impactful in Borderlands 3 as compared to Borderlands 2. And the simple reason is that the game doesn't force you to engage with the mechanic. In Borderlands 2, there were missions that forced you to evolve a Goliath to as high as possible, or to evolve Valkid to its highest point, which is then a raid boss. I feel that because there was so little emphasis of enemy mechanics in Borderlands 3, it was all about DPS, DPS, DPS. As long as you have high enough DPS, that is enough to defeat an enemy. And I think it's super important because if you don't have enough enemy mechanics, then no matter how visually different the enemies are in the game, we wouldn't really be able to appreciate the variety, because in the end, all that matters is damage. So I'll just use the gun that deals the highest damage and voila, the elements of variety is gone. We can have enemies that can only get hit from the back, robots can connect themselves with each other to become bigger, animals are super aggressive while humanoids are much more tactical. I think we saw this pretty well in Borderlands 2 because there were stalkers, rats, crystalists, Goliaths, Valkids, constructors that added more gameplay elements than just DPS, DPS, DPS. Whereas in Borderlands 3, it was literally just Goliaths and Valkids. Constructors were really little in the main story, and even then, the mechanics that involve Goliath evolution and Valkid evolutions were really just skimmed past. So Borderlands 4 really needs to step up their game and give enemies more mechanics to challenge the player in more ways rather than just in damage. Next up is procedurally generated content. Now this is something not many people actually considered, but when you think about the amount of enemies and maps the game already has, I feel that a sizable amount of content will just diminish into obscurity because we have no other reason to engage with it. And in most cases, the end game is just farming specific enemies for specific weapons to maximize our builds so that we can enjoy challenging areas or fighting raid bosses. So considering that we are only targeting specific enemies and specific maps, then there will be a lot of areas where we just don't go back to. Now when we talk about challenging areas, Borderlands 3 had the Maliwan takedown and the Guardian takedown, and for Borderlands 2 they had the Digistruct Peak. And I'd say that a lot of people really enjoyed this, and for the simple reason is that there were no other maps that were this challenging. If you think about it, these are specific maps that challenge the player through mobbing. Now of course the slaughterhouse can also be included, but I feel that they don't give the same element of challenge that the takedowns and the Digistruct Peak offers, because those maps have mini bosses, and I think that's just 10 times better than infinite mobbing. And that's where procedurally generated dungeons or maps can come in, whereby we can run dungeons with enemies changing and the layout of the maps changing per run, with challenges to complete and maybe a boss fight at the end. I felt that Arms Race was actually a very good idea, as it was like a new challenge map, and the Battle Royale style gave an element of strategy in terms of where you want to go to fight and become stronger. But because it used the same map every single time with the same chest placement and the same enemies, it got boring extremely quickly. So just imagine a procedurally generated dungeon with an element of a randomizer, where you are constantly fighting different mini bosses, different enemies, new and different challenges, with maybe modifications coming up here and there. It's very similar to like a Diablo style thing. I mean, there's so many things that you can do, and I feel that it elevates the end game, you know, rather than just farming the same enemy over and over and over again. So yeah, procedurally generated content, I really think has so much potential. It needs to be in Borderlands 4. Now, weapon mastery is also another great feature that should be added. This is a rather small point, but I think this enhances the appreciation of the guns and loot, which is the selling point of Borderlands. Personally, given that there is so much depth to each weapons with their unique manufacturer, parts, properties, it's so common to see new players just completely disregarding these things and going straight to using the best weapon that they have access to. This is pretty common in looters in general, where there will always be shitty loot, but I think giving weapon mastery, which involves challenges with good rewards at the end, will force players to really utilize every single weapon that they have access to. And they can go pretty wacky with the challenges, because considering how much variety we have in terms of the parts and the projectiles and the properties and the unique elements and whatever it is, you know, all the distinct elements that make each weapon unique, you can have so many different kinds of challenges and missions, you know, with a good mix of like, oh, kill X enemies, where it is passive and you can still steadily progress, and other more difficult ones, of course, which reward you with more stuff. I think Borderlands can also take a step further and integrate weapon mastery with builds. So now characters can revolve around a specific weapon manufacturer. That will be even crazier, because now in most cases we are revolving around character skill trees. You know, we focus on 2 different skill trees where we probably have capstoned, and then we pick the set of weapons that complement the skill tree the most. But imagine now we can focus on a weapon manufacturer. So this is a Maliwan focused, I don't know, Gunzerker, I don't know, okay, something like this. I think that would be really cool. Knowing Gearbox, okay, they are probably just going to tie in some shitty cosmetic behind the mastery, but you never know, okay, you never know. All we are doing is leveraging the amazing variety of weapons that already has tons of depth to it, and the weapon mastery feature is incentivizing the player to engage with the variety. And yeah, I think this will be a really good addition to the next Borderlands game. Now, immersion is also super important, because it is an RPG and we need to see more populated towns, villages or cities. From the past few games, it really feels like Sanctuary is the only hub area where people actually live in. And when you compare all of the other RPGs, yeah, it is a huge missed opportunity. And you know, you can see like small areas with like a few vending machines and a few NPCs, maybe even a respec area to reset your skill points, but that's it. I want to see people having conversations, talking about rumors or gossip, having their own set of issues that maybe I can help solve. And thematically, this really helps, because Sanctuary can get old pretty fast, and especially if there isn't any sort of customization or any dynamic elements to it like growth or decay. Having a variety of hub areas with different NPCs and conversations would just make it so much better. I mean, think about the potential in Borderlands 3. There could be a really huge hub area that houses all of the Atlas soldiers and the main NPCs like Zero, Lorelei and Reese in Promethea. Athena could have a hidden siren village in the clouds, you know, that are away from danger, where they practice their siren powers. Bandits could form factions or gangs where they fight against each other, and they can have their own bandit camps where they would initially be hostile, but after a few side quests they can open up to you and accept you. Like, there is so much that can be done here, and it just elevates the maps to not just be farming areas. There is no need to make maps bigger, because that doesn't add depth. More writing, more dialogue, more quests and more lore would add depth, and having more hub areas in different maps is the perfect foundation for all of this. Alright, now let's talk about MMO elements. Now, I know Borderlands has always been mainly a single player experience with an optional cooperative component, but I think MMO elements can help in making cosmetics play a bigger role. I think Borderlands 3 had really good cosmetics, but since there is no one to show it off to, then what's the point? Warframe's gameplay had nothing to do with cosmetics, but because of its MMO elements and the opportunity to show off their cosmetics, that in itself is enough to incentivize players to farm their ass off for it. And I think it adds a substantial amount of longevity to the game. MMO elements can of course include hub areas or trade posts or a PvP component, maybe having special 4-player raid boss challenges or making arms race an actual battle royale with like 30 online players. Any of it, as long as I can show off my cosmetics, that is enough. Now I know that this opens up microtransactions and battle passes, and to me, I hate it, I don't want it, but when I see Warframe, a game that actually does microtransactions well, it gives me a little hope, that if Gearbox actually goes into this direction and ties cosmetics into microtransactions, if they can somehow make it well and make it farmable and still make it completely free to play, and cosmetics is in a way where you can buy it if you just want to bypass the grind, I think that's still okay. Combine it with the MMO elements and giving more opportunities to just show off your cosmetics. A lot of people think that, cosmetics is such a small component. It's not true. A lot of MMOs thrive because of how many cosmetic options there are. And even if cosmetics aren't really fleshed out, the MMO components are just a really good way to bring Borderlands players together. I feel that Borderlands is still best played solo since farming involves so much save and quitting, and just in general it's a much more smoother experience, and that in itself is potential for a massive multiplayer component that I feel would be really amazing. I think the Borderlands community is one of the best and we really should expand on it. Now this is going to be a little bit controversial, but we need to remove sirens, okay? I know Ava is here, and to be honest, in order to remove sirens out of the story, Ava needs to be a playable character. And yeah, that sucks. But okay, here's why I hate sirens in the story. They are literally plot conveniences. Any sticky situation that we are in, or any large scale threat, even opening vaults, we need a siren. And did you know that there are only 6 sirens in existence? And we have 3 of them. Is this galaxy really that small? I feel that we need to remove them completely out of the story, or at least minimize their presence. The whole reason why Borderlands 2 felt so satisfying is because characters like Brick, Tina, Mordecai, Ellie all felt like they played a really tangible part in the journey and bringing down Hamson Jack. And yes, Lilith was important, Angel was important, but at least they made sure that other characters played a substantial role and had a chance to be in the spotlight. For Borderlands 3, Lilith, Maya, and Tannis, they were the only characters that matter, and no coincidence that they are all sirens, okay? Literally everyone else could have died and the story would still play out the same exact way because we have these sirens. And now this plays nicely to my next point, the story. A lot of people keep saying, oh, I want a better story, I want better writing, without giving any ideas, okay? So now I'm gonna give those ideas, alright? To me, if you are going to make sirens your main set of characters again, they have to be a prequel. And when I mean a prequel, I mean thousands and thousands of years ago when we talk about the origin of vaults, how they were created, maybe a war between sirens and guardians. You can also involve the origins of weapon manufacturers as well. We could say it in a way where sirens were actually the bad guys since they have godlike powers, and guardians were the main civilization at the point. And from there we can go so many ways. Since both Guardians and Sirens are reliant on Iridium, well, there you go. Both races fighting for the same resources. Sirens with their godlike powers attacking the Guardians, and within the Guardians there is a secret Siren spy that betrays them, there is a Siren leader that is the main villain, and of course, don't make it annoying, make it like Thanos or Loki where they have like a god complex rather than a teenage brat. Maybe along the way there is a siren defector and joins the Guardians, which leads to the creation of the vaults as a last-ditch effort by the Guardians to store all of the history and loot away from the sirens. Maybe talk about the creation of the vault monsters, which may have been the same monsters that decimated the sirens, and we can bring back enemies like the Warrior, the Destroyer, Graveward, shit, maybe even Vermivorous and raid bosses that comes into play to fight against the sirens. And the story ends with the main siren villain defeated, but both the siren race and the guardian race just completely decimated. hence why there is so little of them today. Yeah, amazing story. Now let's talk about the future. What happens after Borderlands 3? I really want the story to focus on the Watcher. This character's story has to be fleshed out, or else why the fuck is he even here? The Watcher has been characterized as this guy that gives out warnings, okay? Pretty cool foreshadowing for what's to come. But I feel like there could be a twist. How about the Watcher isn't actually sending out warnings, but threats? They see the rise of the Crimson Raiders and all of their achievements. They see how they kill their vault monsters for fun. Literally for fun. They steal their loot from the vaults and use their precious element to increase their magazine size. Okay, if there is one race that gets disrespected, it's the Guardian race, and Borderlands 4 is where they strike back. This could be a galaxy-scale war simply because they have been in hiding for all of the Borderlands games. Now of course we see them in Borderlands 3 and there is quite a number of them, and we can say in a way where they are just the surface level Guardians. There are millions of them hiding, waiting to strike. And that is the premise of the story. We can start the story by retrieving the CEO of Tidior. Since Tidior is the only manufacturer that has yet to be developed, perfect way to start. We find out that the CEO has been kidnapped by Guardians to create a secret weapon that can throw planets. I don't know, that's cool, okay? I mean, since Tidior can somehow make any weapon throwable, let's make a weapon that throws planets, okay? That sounds cool. Now, since I want sirens to be removed, how can we defend against that kind of attack without sirens? Well, the Digistruct system. This Digistruct system is literally an item spawner. And where do we see this technology being used the most? Tidior weapons, Hyperion loaders, and vehicles. Now the power dynamic has shifted, and now Hyperion needs to be an ally. So after retrieving the CEO of Tidior, we find that the weapon has already been built and is now in the process of absorbing planets to become weapons. Remember that crazy Hyperion army we saw in the Handsome Jackpot DLC? Well, that's going to be put to good use. Next mission, allying with Hyperion and bandits to defend Pandora. Guardians are attacking Pandora because they want to absorb it. They use the combined forces of Tidior and Hyperion to defend. And after a lot of fighting, we thought we won. Psych, here comes a fucking planet that crashes into Pandora. Everyone evacuates and takes refuge. Where? Yeah, Krieg's Mine. Okay? Krieg's Mine suddenly becomes the only safe place in the galaxy since it's literally in this guy's consciousness, and this becomes our base of operations. Now, let's go back to the galaxy. It's going to shit. Reese, Jacobs, Naoko, which should be the new Maliwan CEO since she's the sister of Katagawa, have all banded together to not only defend themselves against the Guardians, but to find two very important people that may think will be super important in winning the war. That's right. Axton and Salvador. Remember Explosive Axton? Nuke Axton? Yep, he is now a nuke specialist and has been nuking planets to defend himself from oncoming planets. Yep, like Secret Wars. But it's not really successful since a lot of debris has been falling onto him, causing a lot of problems. And yeah, Salvador is pretty simple. Give him a grog nozzle and a herald and he is the unkillable warrior. Two super important people that we have to recruit. So with the help of Atlas, Maliwan and Jacobs, we find Axton and Salvador. Doing what? Of course, hosting a battle royale. To get to them, we have to win the battle royale, which is a little bit like Lecture City in Borderlands 3, but I don't know, with like turrets that fall from the sky that nukes the players, or maybe an occasional gun-zerking moment that you get just by playing this specific mission. And we can do a lot of things here. Now we kill all the enemies, we win the battle royale, we get to Axton and Salvador, we recruit them and bring them back to Krieg's Mine. And now we can create a very interesting dynamic. Tina, Axton, Tidior CEO, Mose, and maybe even Mr. Talk, all of them specializing in explosives to create the ultimate weapon to destroy Tidior's base. Why Tidior's base? It's because when Tidior's CEO got kidnapped, the Guardians took control of all of their bases and made it the main source of resources that fuels the planet-throwing weapon. We create the explosive weapon and destroy all of Tidior's bases. Now as we infiltrate the bombed bases, we find a secret passage that goes underground, finding more Guardians. Now we kill them all, take one as hostage and interrogate for information. Now while we are interrogating, Flack, the Beastmaster, along with Wainwright and Hammerlock, devises a plan to tame the Vault monsters to use it against the Guardians. I don't know, okay, they can do like a Chris Pratt moment, or you know, kill the leader beast that is controlling all of the animals, and I don't know, okay, freaking Kaido, okay? We can kill him, and then now Flag is the new pack leader, okay? That leads all of the Spider-Ants, the Varkids, the Crystallists, whatever, okay? And since we have the vault keys from Borderlands 3, we can now control the vault monsters, as seen in Borderlands 2, when Handsome Jack commanded the warrior because he was in possession of the vault key. They placed the vault monsters in specialized cages to contain them, and eventually our plan is to drop them on the Guardian's main base to attack everyone. Who creates these cages? Well, Tennis. I know she is a siren, and that's all she is going to do, using her siren powers to build these specialized cages. We can easily nerf the sirens just by making the Guardians hoard all of the iridium to themselves and they just don't share it. So then, the final arc begins. The super nuke created by Axton and Tina, the vault monsters, Atlas, Maliwan armies, the beasts that got tamed by Flag. We go to an all-out attack on the Guardian base. We win, and yay, the story is over. But wait, Galaxy is in a mess, and now there is no reason for weapon manufacturers to cooperate with one another. We devised a plan to separate the Galaxy into sections, and they will each do their part to repair the Galaxy using their own resources and the technology of the Digistruct. Boom, there you go, Borderlands 4. If any of this is copied, I swear to God, Gearbox, you better give my money. Okay, but yes, I think I made my point. This is my ideal story, and of course, with tons and tons of side missions to back it up. And I know there are plenty of plot holes, okay? This is really just on the top of my head. But yeah, at least I'm giving ideas, okay? I don't see anyone else giving their ideas, alright? Let's see what remains. I want more weapon rarities, okay? I want to see the effervescent, pearlescent, seraphs, whatever, okay? More of them. I want dungeons and rifts and portals for super difficult content, super difficult dungeons. I don't want any annoying characters, like seriously, zero. They should focus on quality of dialogue instead of quantity, and just apply everything I've said before into this story that I created. And I think we can actually make a game better than Borderlands 2. We can make the best looter shooter with the best story and quests out there. Like, come on, okay? We can make this game a next gen only. So use all of the power, like how Rockstar can make a real life simulator on the PS4, okay? It's possible. So yeah, this is my wish list for Borderlands 4. I want to know your wish list in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.